Welcome friends to my channel The Retail Guru, and we are today at the beautiful Orion Brigade Mall. We are living in uncertain times, so I thought let's talk about the future of retail. What I wanted to talk a little bit about today is how retail has evolved in India. I came back to India on two occasions. Once in 2008 with the Shaluk Group when I was heading the expansion of luxury retail for them in India. And the second time I came to India to work in retail was in 2019 when I joined a bridal wear brand, occasion wear called Koski in Bangalore. I wanted to talk how the market has changed, how it has evolved. In 2008, when I came here, that is when malls, premier groups started constructing these malls. So you had the DLFs of the world, you had UB City coming up in Bangalore, you had Saket City Walk in Delhi, you had Emporio, you had Ambience. So these were some of the premier projects which were being launched at that time, and they were launched in India with a lot of fanfare. India had just allowed investment in mono-branded retail, and a lot of people were banking on Indian consumption to do dramatic sales. I have always looked at malls with skepticism. And one of the main reasons for that is I believe that the mall or the souk or the bazaar is nothing but a sophisticated old school marketplace. When you wanted to look at your strategy of expansion and malls in particular, it came across with huge overheads. So let's talk about rentals, for example. So while malls will try to tell you that the rental is the same as the rental that you have in the high streets, one key factor that you need to look at is the CAM. And in most cases, the CAM will inflate your rent by as much as 50%. And when you talk about that, that is a substantial premium that you pay to remain in a mall. So you need to ask yourself the question, what is the viability of the mall model? And even times before the pandemic, when I looked at when you created a feasibility for opening in a mall, I was always wondering what type of profitability we want to get from a mall. Is it because we want the branding? It is a good branding element where you have a lot of eyeballs coming through. What would be that strategy? And if you see today in the pandemic, a lot of the stores have been shutting down. Malls and retailers, the tenants particularly, have got into a lot of arbitration on rents, on support. And frankly, if you were to be some of the people who entered malls in the past, it was always a one-sided agreement. And the agreement was constructed in the fact that as a retailer, you will always lose. Having said that, today, because of the pandemic, people are forced to go back to the drawing board and look at their business model. Brands who got in huge private equity investments, who went to scale up without looking at profitability, today there is a big risk that they will be shut down. So when I'm talking about malls in particular and having a mall strategy, I'm really talking about assessing your top 2-3 players in India. For example, a Phoenix Mall, which is present in certain key cities, which is one of the premier malls in India, where you would want to have your portfolio in. And you can't expect that you're going to get a lot of profitability from this. So how do you look at profitability when you're opening a format in a mall? What you need to understand is that the side street and the malls have two different types of customers. And that is where your product mix becomes so important to adjust to that. Secondly, in a mall, because your rents are so high, you need to look at scaling down your format. You need a smaller format which has your product assortment more scaled up towards the entry price points. So your 90% of the customers that come into the mall can actually come and browse, and maybe it could result in an impulse buy. Pretty much gives you an idea that malls are nothing but sophisticated bazaars. And with this sophisticated bazaars comes a very high premium that you need to pay for to be there. And today, the way I look at it is, even when we are getting into negotiations with landlords, be it side streets or malls, you will see a clear shift of people moving away from malls. Because unfortunately, during this pandemic, when the malls needed to support retailers, they actually did not take any concrete action. They waited till the last minute to do anything decisive, as a result of which some sort of faith which was never very strong to begin with, is lost. So every retailer today, I'm sure, is reassessing his mall portfolio. He'll be looking at his A, B and C grade stores and where he needs to cut his losses. And there will be some very painful decisions. If you just pan the camera around, you have Central here, which is in fact closed and not trading. So this is one of the examples, and Central is a big box concept in India. So you can see that there's going to be a lot of carnage that you can expect in the next 3 to 6 months. And I believe that while companies will look for cash flow, they will look to increase their leverage, they will go to banks. The next October onwards, if the market doesn't come back, by the time we get into festive season, I would see a lot of bankruptcies. People will have to reassess their mall portfolio. You will have to shut down some stores. You will have to move on more onto the side streets where actually the market lives. And in one of my videos, I'm going to take you to the side streets and talk about benefits of having your stores in side streets over malls. Another thing that is important about malls is what you need to understand, that the malls are obsessed with Western brands. And in this, they've done a lot of injustice to Indian ethnic wear brands. If you look at the positioning of the malls and the brands in the malls, they will always be looking at footfall. As a result of which, they will be looking at the key anchor stores. They'll look at Shoppers Stop, Zara. They'll look at some key F&B brands that they want to promote. And having said that, if you're not classified as an A-tier brand, or rather a Western brand, you're going to get lost in the mall. It's more of westernization. It's more of keeping up with the times rather than working locally. Because what I've seen is that the business in India resides on the high streets. And if you come to a mall and you look at the brand mix and you walk onto the high streets and you look at the brand mix, it is quite different. It's the Western brands that patronize the malls. It's the ethnic Indian homegrown brands that actually patronize the side streets. And no matter what anyone tells you about organized retailing, the fact remains today, as of today, still, you will always have winners on the side street versus the malls. Malls provides you with some sort of a visibility to market your brand, to get you out there and to give you some sort of recognition in the organized retail format. But let me tell you, 90% of India's business happens in the unorganized segment, and that is a very, very big segment for you to ignore. That is why side street strategy should be very much a part of your portfolio when you're looking at expansion. And don't just plot in malls and say, okay, I'm going to go through 100 stores and I've plotted 100 malls. No, you should have a balanced strategy. It should be a mall come side street strategy. You should look at working with single groups to leverage your economies of scale and to get better rent deals, because only through economies of scale can you succeed. So another very important element is footfall. And we are not accountants at the end of the day. We need to also look at vanity metrics besides pure numbers. Having said that, a mall will try to brag about its daily footfall. I receive 100,000 visitors a day, I receive 200,000 visitors a day. But the fact of the matter is that 80% of those visitors are not even your customer. What brings in traffic into the mall? Two main elements. First is the cinemas, and second is F&B. You may go to malls in India, or rather malls across the world, and you look at people who are shopping versus the people who are watching movies in the malls versus the people who are eating. And a substantial segment of the population is actually watching movies for entertainment. There's a lot of F&B going on. That means that the statistics that when you say you have 100,000 customers coming in your mall, how many of those customers are actually your target group and actually your target segment? Now, if you were to go on a side street and your customers are coming to your store specifically, it's because you are a destination. They're coming there not to waste their time. Your conversion rate will be higher. Your rentals will be lower. Your maintenance is definitely lower. And that is why you need to consider side street. I'm not trying to rubbish the malls or the mall strategy that you may have as a part of your expansion. What I'm saying is that let it not be the only one. Use a measured approach, go with the top players, try to strike deals across geographies, and that is the way to win in a mall. And most importantly, keep your store format small, focus more on entry price points, and then you have a winner.